Hi, welcome to Sugar Free. This is the daily tarot for the week, the weekend tarot for Saturday the 12th and Sunday the 13th of December 2020. Building up to that new moon eclipse on the 14th. Bit of a special day. I am having on the 14th someone do a shamanic journey for me, back to talk to the ancestors on my behalf. I'm not trained to do stuff like that, but I found someone who is. That's happening for me on the 14th. So if there's anything appropriate to report back, I shall do so. In the meantime, let's see what we have for this weekend, Saturday the 12th and Sunday the 13th. I have had a good shuffle, but just a couple more. This might be the last one before we start. No, one more. Okay, that will do it. Right. High Priestess in the reverse. Just get some more light on this. So there she is again. She's been coming up for a while, actually. High Priestess in the reverse. This is when we're not kind of really stable inside ourselves and sort of wondering, basically, who we are. High Priestess card number 2, following on from 0 card the Fool, the I Am. Card number 1, Magician, I Do. Card number 3, well, card number 1, sorry, card 0 is more just I exist, existence itself. Card number 2, Action. Card number 3, Identity. Sorry, card number 2, High Priestess, Identity. So there's a kind of there's something up with that. And it's interesting, it was High Priestess in the reverse was the card I discounted from the end of the reading yesterday. First card out today. Okay. Hanged Man in the reverse. Right, so alongside this kind of what am I, who am I sort of thing, we've got this kind of wish to sort of stop looking at everything and perhaps just act, just do, because the Hanged Man is about not acting, not doing, and considering one's options from a point of removal from a situation. Again, in the reverse. Okay, this begins to make sense. Justice in the upright. So concerns, I guess, about the rightness and wrongness of something. And it's less to do with anything to do with sort of legal stuff, or even moral stuff. It's to do with simple sort of fairness, the notion of fairness. Unfairness is on the table today, and I'm wondering if there's an element of feeling like we've been cheated, and wanting to sort of really take some action about that, but being unsure as to whether, being unsure of our ground in that respect. Excuse me, just drinking some tea. And that is indeed uncomfortable. But well, let's push on. Hold on. Let's push on, because very often issues of fairness and unfairness, as opposed to issues of legal right and wrong, or even moral right or wrong, we all know the basic moral rules. don't kill, don't steal, don't lie. That's pretty much it. But stuff to do with fairness is slightly different, and fairness or unfairness is very often seen, is perceived to be fairness or unfairness in the eye of the beholder. So, you know, when any sort of morally upstanding person dealing with a sense of fairness or unfairness inside themselves is going to give themselves pause for thought and say to themselves, well, maybe I'm seeing this as unfair, but maybe if the boot was on the other foot, I'd be seeing it as fair. That's, I think, possibly what's going on here. Okay, the world. So let's move this all across a little bit. So this is a biggie. This is a biggie, whatever it is. And I can sort of tell that it's a biggie also from the root discombobulation being the High Priestess in reverse. I mean, she's a powerful entity, certainly in the tarot, and what she represents is very powerful in our lives. So this is really big. This is really big. I'm going to get something on the Hanged Man in the reverse here, because there's this hesitancy about whether to act on this or not, and it must be very uncomfortable, because whatever this is, this perceived problem with fairness and unfairness in the Justice card is kind of affecting, it's bleeding out into I don't want to say the whole of our lives, the entirety of our lives, but the World card here would suggest that it's pretty big, it's pretty pervasive. So what's holding us back? Death in the reverse. Right, okay. Right. Right, let me think about this, because I've been thinking quite a lot about this card, about the Death card. I mean, all tarot cards are about change. It's the oracle of change. But death being, for us as sentient beings, being so final, it's kind of counterintuitive that the Death card would be right in the middle, card number 13. Of a 21 card set or 22 card set. So okay, all right, the reason we are, I think, see from this reading, the reason we are hesitating, and the reason why the hanged man in reverse is about us wanting to take action. But it's come on top of the High Priestess in the reverse. So there's this lack of certainty of our ground. We are not sure of our ground in a matter concerning fairness and unfairness. And it pertains to multiple areas of our life. And we sense here in Death in the reverse that if we do act, the changes that will come will be irrevocable, because that's what this card is about, the Death card. It's the realization, card number 13 in the tarot cycle, where we realize that it's a bit like the Lover's card. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't step forward and stay in the same place. And it's the realization that some changes are irrevocable, irreversible. You cross a Rubicon and there's no going back. And that's what's holding us back. Because if we're not right, if we are not correct about this unfairness thing in the Justice card, or this fairness or unfairness, I mean, it's bound to be unfairness, isn't it? I mean, we wouldn't be having all this hesitation of the High Priestess in the reverse and the Hanged Man in the reverse, and are we on solid ground if it was something to do with us having been dealt fairly with something. It's about having been dealt unfairly with something. And perhaps, oh God, I'm sorry, I just got a flash of something there. Sorry, it's gone. The sense of having been dealt with unfairly. Well, yeah, but we're questioning that. We're questioning whether we're right about that. And yet at the same time, it's big. It's big and affecting multiple areas of our lives. This is rather uncomfortable. Okay. All right, the Hierophant. This will do for now. For now. The Hierophant. So what we're doing here, how I see this this reading speaking, is that we are appealing to a higher power. Now we've got the High Priest, the Hierophant, crowning off this reading that began with the High Priestess in the reverse, and we've moved through this hesitancy about whether we should act or not. What to be acted or not upon is a matter of the sense of having been unfairly dealt with, unfairly treated. And it's big, the world. It affects multiple areas of our lives, but we are not sure, death in the reverse, about how acting upon this, what effect that would have, what would be left. Yeah, what would we be sweeping away? Look at all that to be swept away in this change. Books, weapons, tools, riches, trappings of power, jewels. All that's left there, oops, is the artist's palette. That's all that's left. It's our creativity, our capacity to start again, basically. Paint a new picture. So in all that hesitancy, there is an appeal to a moral, because you remember I said about the justice card here, it's not about moral right and wrong, or you know, it can be about legal right and wrong, but I'm not seeing it in that respect in this reading. I'm seeing it about fairness or unfairness. So we kind of go to we appeal to a higher authority, basically, in ourselves. With the Hierophant here, is it right? Is it morally right or wrong? And would it be, what are the moral implications of acting or not acting? And if we do act and changes come, irrevocable changes come as a result. Sorry, this was in the reverse, wasn't it? As a result of acting upon this unfairness. And basically, you know, it would be like basically going to somebody and saying, look, you lied to me, you haven't treated me fairly, I gave you this and you said you promised you'd give me that, but maybe this is a broken promise or something, I don't know. But in weighing up with the scales here in the Justice card, weighing up all aspects of this in the world, we top out this reading by looking up from the personal matter of fairness and unfairness between human individuals to a higher level of kind of adjudication, and perhaps sort of asking ourselves, how would this be seen from the outside? Because this is what the High Priest, the Hierophant, is. In relation to the High Priestess. The High Priestess is the inner kind of the inner moral code, the inner sense of the establishment of a very basic emotional equilibrium. And by the time we get to card number 5, the Hierophant, we are expressing that in a public way through our behavior, through our actions, through our words, and it has become codified into because this is a religious leader, a recognized spiritual authority. So perhaps we're asking ourselves, how would this look to the outside if I took this to the great courtroom in the sky? How would this be adjudicated? How would this be judged upon? Let's get one more. I mean, it's always quite interesting to sort of expand our personal dilemmas in these matters, because I think there is a dilemma here with the High Priestess in the reverse and the Hanged Man in the reverse. There's a bit of a dilemma here. Do I do something about this or not? And it's always interesting, as I say, to sort of take it up a rung and say to ourselves, maybe, well, if this was somebody else, if I was adjudicating on this, if I was told about this by somebody else, what would I say? That's always an interesting thought experiment. Right, let's see if we can get one more. Interesting, not always effective or useful, but always interesting. Okay, the Sun in reverse. Well, I don't see any resolution here in this reading. Because we're not committed to doing this or doing that. We can't come down on one side of that scales or the other. Perhaps there's an equal balance, and sometimes there is. Sometimes there is an equal balance, and there's no kind of zero-sum game of, well, this one was the winner, so this one was the loser. Sometimes it's a lose-lose, and sometimes, I have to say, it's a win-win. It's not always this or that. And funnily enough, I'm kind of getting that from this Sun in reverse. Perhaps deep down in whatever this is, we know that if the boot was on the other foot, we might be behaving in exactly the same way as whoever it is we feel has done us unjustly. Right, thank you for watching. I'm going to leave it there, and yeah, I'll see you again soon for another reading. Namaste.